Hello and welcome. So, new microphone first of all, should be great. This is a fun topic, EU versus North America. So, I don't know if I should have got involved in this, and I'll be bringing up tweets as we go through because it's an interesting topic. And essentially, if you didn't see it yesterday, Pacman made a comment on a podcast they do for Decerto about EU games versus NA talent and so on and so forth. I will play that clip for you now.
But it's just a fact of the Call of Duty scene. He's playing European challengers, so maybe
different game.
Maybe if he was playing in NA challengers and absolutely destroying, you just say,
easier decision.
you know what?
Yeah,
we're gonna do this.
It's a lot more clear.
We're gonna do this. It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot more clear cut. I mean, Josh just won the Challengers Championship. He quit the year before. Yeah, he just won the in Europe. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's just a different. They're just more next level talent in NA, and that's just based on the Call.
So yeah, essentially saying that it is more of a gauntlet in NA versus EU, and also brought B-Sport Josh into this. Now, several things about this are interesting to me. Because one, obviously, it's a great topic between these two having a big fight, and everybody and all the people involved who were not happy with Pacman's take on it and everything else that happened. But I don't think he was wrong. I think he has a point. I just don't think he made it very well, and bringing Josh into it was kind of stupid. I'm not going to lie to you. The thing is, right, I know it's fun and games for Pacman and the reputation to have these hot takes, and people say he's garbage and people like his hot takes or whatever. I will fully stand behind him to say whatever he likes. I've met Pacman quite a few times. Obviously, I've been on the same talent roster as him. We've spoken. It's been fun and games. He's very outspoken in the way he presents things, and that's fine. 100%. It's a great trait to have, right? Obviously, yesterday caused controversy, right? Like, there was people who were not happy with what he said, but I would defend his right to say these things every single time, and obviously you say them for dramatic effect sometimes. EU versus NA. It's an interesting thing that he said about, you know, it's more of a gauntlet. So it is true, right, that North America has a lot more talented players in depth, whereas EU's compressed to the top. So if he's saying, which I think is what he was trying to get at, there is more a gauntlet, because if you are playing in that region, there are more good teams that you have to get through to get a better placement. In Europe, it does seem to get compressed down to a puck. It's still a lot. There's still a lot of good teams in Europe. There's still a lot of good teams in North America. There just happen to be more good teams in North America, but the EU teams are slightly better. And this is the point that was being made yesterday that people were fighting over, because the Europeans took it as a sign of considerable disrespect to the European players in challenges that North America is just considered better, right? So we have to kind of break this down level by level to figure out exactly what is meant by both sides and clear it up, because there are the problem is both sides are talking facts. They're just muddying the issue a little bit. So North America, right, outright is a better region for Call of Duty, period. But that's an easy way to put it. Then it comes Europe, then APAC, and wherever else. The problem being is when you break it down into degrees of where they are. So North America, Europe, and then basically the way that I see it and that some other people see it is it goes North America, Europe, EU challenges, then North American challenges. Why is this? Well, one good reason for it is that if you are a good North America player, you are a lot more likely to be put up into the league. It's simple. You know, we only have realistically 2 teams of European players, and one of them's Toronto, and there's a few players, you know, in Paris as well, but it's complicated. Essentially, we don't get a lot of European players in the league, and we don't know whether or not the European players will make it forward no matter how good they are. COVID has only made this even worse with the fact that we don't get these open lands, we don't get to see the mix again. On the European side, the argument is, of course, that when Singularity went over to North America, they were running the challenger scene over there, essentially, and I'd have to bring up the facts for that one, but when they came back over here, they struggled considerably more, saying that at the very top of European challenges is more difficult than North American challenges, right? They won the open events, they come back, etc., etc. There are a history of lands to suggest that, because European has this like compressed puck of very good players and teams that don't go anywhere, because getting picked up as a European is a nightmare. There is, and I'm not going to say this right, there is some bias in North American franchises, and even, you know, even in the talent. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say, like, some of you got this ridiculous thing that, you know, like, Nameless hates Europe and Pacman hates Europe. No, they enjoy the jokes, and here's the truth, right? I'm European. I'll stick up for you for death. But we are the worst. We are a worse region than North America for Call of Duty. It's not fucking rocket science that they just have better teams and players by and large. The majority of them, right? Not to say that Europe can't compete. Not to say that Europe won't win something. All play well. But they have like 8 or 10 good teams in the franchises. And we have 2. And they're not even doing very well this year. But that's just a fact, right? It is a fact. It's not something you can really deny. And the problem with all of this is when you break it down into that and say, you know, Europe is a worse region, that's fine to say because it's truthful. But when you disparage a region based on... And I think here's the only issue with what Pacman said. The B Sport Josh comment. Oh, he won EU Challengers. That tells you everything you need to know. Obviously, it doesn't. Obviously, it doesn't. If he's winning EU Challengers after taking a year off and coming back and doing very, very well, his team is incredibly talented and doing very, very well at the moment. Josh, I believe, has switched over to the AR role. He's doing very well with it. There are a lot of good challenges over there, right? And I believe the other part was Hydra not doing great in his first challenges in North America. There are levels to this shit, right? You can't just blanket carpet bomb. And that was the issue. I think the reason that EU got its backs up is, you know, the disparagement against Josh. Basically, the point that Pacman had over the fact that there are a considerable number of teams at a higher skill level in North America, making it more of a gauntlet when you go through these tournaments to get a better placement, right? It's more difficult because your games are consistently hard, whereas in Europe, a lot of these good teams don't really have a worry until they get higher up in it because of that compression at the top. And that would have been fine. If Pacman had just said that, it would have absolutely been fine. I would have agreed with him. I can understand that, it being more of a gauntlet to get through these players and teams. Perfectly fine. People got upset because it was just an off-the-cuff comment, and he said it to be controversial. I know he did, about Josh. And that twisted what his point was to down bad Europe. Right? And that's like I said, I don't think, like, because it also happened with Nameless. There was a massive argument on my timeline with Nameless about 6 months ago. Let's put it this way. Both of those, when I've worked with them, are perfectly fine. They make British jokes. They make all this sort of stuff. We make North American jokes. It's fine. There is no genuine hatred there. It just isn't. Right? It's not that deep. But I can understand why European players are frustrated. This is the situation. European players, no matter how well they play, like Team War, right, last year, did great, smashed the challenges, didn't get picked up. None of them. None of them went to a franchise, obviously with the downsizing or whatever. So in a European challenger's mind, no matter how well they do, right? Bearing in mind, right, we had August, a team winning challenges, won the last challenges tournament. August does not have a team. There's no salaries going to these players. And very, very little prospect of getting picked up to the franchises. I mean, COVID obviously has become another factor in that. You know, we did have the travel ban. We had everything that worked with it. We also had the fact that you basically have to get a visa and then you can't practice with them. You can't trial a player if you're a franchise in North America. You just can't. Until they get over there and then you see how good they are. Hydra's gone over, you know, fantastic, brilliant. We're going to see him go over. But it's a hype train. It doesn't really matter. You know, why are all these other players not being looked at? If they were in North America, there's a bigger chance they would be picked up. And that's the frustrating thing about Europe. That's maybe why they have a chip on their shoulder. I understand that part. That part is perfectly reasonable. This whole EU versus North America thing is so stupid for the same reasons that there are so many mitigating factors in both sides and we can't tell. We have no idea. We can only go on past things that says there is this compressed pack of good EU talent at the top, but a wider distribution of good talent across North America because of the regions. We can't tell them we get a LAN. Because if you're a good North American player, you usually go up into the league. The converse was actually true this year as well. The final point I will make is there was a lot of North American talent that got out of the league this year. North American players. We had an influx of retirees because they didn't want to go back into challenges. So they're not playing either. And obviously, European players in the league aren't doing fantastic this year. So far, fingers crossed, London to still win champs because I'm just gonna throw that out there. I've already put, you know, my entire life savings on it, so don't let me down. But it's fascinating to me that people will go at this and look at this the wrong way. Now, don't get me wrong, you know, Pacman didn't really ever back down on what he said. And I'm sure when you speak to him, normally you say, oh yeah, here are the facts and here's everything else. Because no Bid was going at him and everybody else. And I've been trying to put up some of the tweets behind me. This is, it's such a silly thing to debate about because we can't try it. And we know that European players do well. but I thought it was worth explaining and talking about the reasons behind this animosity and everything that's going on in the league. Now, I don't really have a solution for it. We are not going to get to see North American versus EU challengers for a while. I don't know when the next LAN is this year. There's a lot of vaccinations going out. I'm hoping to see it because I love a good LAN. I want a good open. Let's go over and see what happens again. But the EU versus NA debate isn't a debate. It is a careful look at the facts and figuring out where they should place. And it is not black and white. You cannot say EU challengers is harder. If you're talking about quantity and depth of teams, you cannot say North America is harder. If you're looking at the compressed puck of talent that EU seems to have and is doing very, very well when it matches up, because North American players tend to go in the league when they reach a certain level, or at least mix it up in that regard, whereas the European players will also stick together because there's not a huge depth of talent pool over here. So the players in Europe will stick together for longer. And that's important. That builds teamwork, chemistry, availability of actually putting in good practice and getting better as a team. So it's not a clear-cut situation. Both sides had really good points and just didn't make them maybe in the best way. And argue, and that's the problem, right? That's why I made a video. Imagine trying to explain all this in 140 characters or whatever the current limit is. It'd be pointless. But that's a little bit of an insight from me. I hope you like it. I'm going to try and do some more fucking content because I need to. Appreciate you watching. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.